What is up, YouTube? We're here. I'm gonna preface this now. Steafen and I are gonna save the limits for last because there's a card that me and him very adamantly disagree on the limits. We're gonna go through the other ones and kind of give our thoughts. So for Forbidden, I have no complaints.
I do, but I mean, I was playing with Pete Smith, so
Yeah, but you can still make your end board.
I can still make my inboard. It just kind of, I think it just makes the Desiree play not even really worth running right now
Hmm.
until we get the support that lets you go back to it. Like
Well,
right
also,
now, it's more of not like I was making it all the time, but at least it was easier to do to yeah. Each the Fiend Smith hit just kind of made it easier to go from Fiend Smith into Sprite, but I can adapt. I just won't be as easy.
I think one of the big things that this hit does actually that I didn't think about immediately is when we were playtesting. Remember, I either hit you with a Bestial or a DD Crow for your Requiem, and then you brought back your Requiem, and we're able to do it later because of Lacrima, right? That is
Yeah.
like the only thing I think that, and then the whole time burn thing, shutting off or whatever. I think that those are
Oh,
like.
and it's funny because with the Apalooza, you can go even in Sprite, you can end this whole entire Fiendsmith board. You
Mm,
could have went the Fiendsmith Link 2, Lacrima with whatever else he brings out.
mm.
That goes straight into Apalooza.
Well, Apollo is gone, so now we're golden on that.
I know. It's the next one that's gone, so it's kind of hilarious what it actually lets you do.
Mm. I I'm glad. Personally, I think Appaloosa, Calamity, and Beatrice are all cards that were like needed to get hit. Calamity is, while there are decks that can play through it, I don't think that's just a healthy card to have in the game whatsoever.
It's
Especially
not fair.
especially like Centurion is the only one that's doing it. But with the Blue Eyes cards, they have like 1.5 card or 1 to 2 card uh, hot red calamity and everything. So I think this is a good preemptive hit to even though Blue Eyes wasn't gonna. I don't think Blue Eyes was gonna still top or anything. But Beatrice is good. Appaloosa is great. I know that I watched Farfa's video and he cried about Beatrice because of BA. And he was when he saw Appo hit, he was really like hoping that they'd also ban IP and say the 4 horsemen of the extra deck are gone. But we still got 3 out of 4.
I don't know. Like, what was he expecting? Like,
He
I
wanted
don't
he
think that I don't think Beatrice even helped BA that much. Let's be real. They didn't do anything with it. that. That Beatrice gets answered in BA. They weren't doing squat.
it's
Like,
it's the
I'm
best
sorry,
thing.
BA is dead.
It's the best thing to end on is why. But that yeah, I he wanted Moon closed of the closed heavens but hit. Personally, in my honest
Which that's a
opinion,
stupid hit.
I think Moon hit is not a good hit at all, and I think the only reason people want the Moon hit is not because some people will are saying it because they heard their favorite Yugi tuber saying it. Some people are saying
Yeah.
it and they're claiming that because then they actually have to draw it. In my honest opinion, I think people wanted Moon hit so that Beatrice didn't get hit, or so that like other things that are like the payoffs didn't get hit, and that's my opinion. You can and all
I
that.
I think it's funny because I rarely ever used the moon line in the sprite deck when I was doing it.
Hmm.
So they're like, "Oh, that's the thing that's making it possible." I'm like, "Nah, because you hit moon, I'm just gonna run more of the freaking spell.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna increase my consistency on the spell. I'm
Yep.
already running 3 engraver. I mean, I'm always going to have basically the Fiendsmith line.
Yep. It is not as good as people think. Uh, we're gonna move on. And everything. I'm gonna jump straight to the unlimits, and then we'll and work our way up to the limits. Like I said, I think the unlimits are fine. I don't have anything really bad to say because Armageddon Night, like normally that would be scary, but Isolde is banned, so like the all the crazy like car combos of Isolde into Armageddonite are gone and everything like that. And so I think you don't really have to worry about it. And then Fire coming back is fine because in the database we already got its errata to make it hard once and everything like that. So overall, it's all the unlimits are hit or are fine. I think
Yeah, time seal. You're not going to see anything with it.
Kieran is not.
We've gone beyond time seal.
We've gone beyond Kieran as well. Um,
Yeah.
they eroded Ancient Fairy to be hard once, so none of its effects are really relevant, I believe. At
What was
multiples.
Red Rose Dragon hit?
It got hit to 1 because there was this like weird FDK with shooting a that involved like shooting a riser and stuff like that. That's why shooting riser got limited as well for a while. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, but
I didn't even know what Red Rose Dragon was. I'll be honest.
it's not impressive. Denlong coming back, I don't care either. Like,
Denlong could have come back a long time ago.
and same thing with Ib, just like it is at 2 now. Same thing with Colossus. Ib, Colossus, and the Dragon Rulers, they're not doing anything, and having multiple copies doesn't real. I mean, Dragon Rulers having multiple copies does do something, but Ib and Colossus having multiple copies doesn't really do anything more than one does.
Hey,
Tiger,
Lunalight, you play that.
I used to, yeah. Tiger is coming to 2 doesn't matter. I like the only thing that you could make a argument of is that now if you open up both or you get both, you put them in the pendulum scale and stuff like that, you can get like one more activation off of it than you were. Because the reason why Tiger was limited was just a consistency hit. Well, it was banned for a while actually. It was banned because they keep looping their one Tiger and everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but with 2, it doesn't really matter. It's not really that big of a difference. Um, so now it's for the limits. Steafen and I adamantly disagree on Ava. Steafen thinks it's a problem. I don't think it is. Uh,
Gain War flashbacks, and I am fine if I am proven wrong, but I just think it's still too soon to be putting that at 1, even if it doesn't do anything. We have Yu-Gi-Oh players. It hasn't been gone long enough for them to not live on that. Oh,
it's been
someone's going to find something, and it's going to be freaking stupid.
it's been gone for 3 years. Yu-Gi-Oh players no longer have that kind of attention span.
You said 3 years?
Yeah, 2021 is when it got banned.
That's. I don't think that's enough.
Uh, because like the thing is, right, the problem with Ava was with Herald of Ultimateness and you discarding it and you getting 2 more negates after that. uh and I once again, I said it in the Discord and or in our Facebook group, and I forgot to mention another card, but under Shifter, you can't even use Herald of Ultimateness to discard this, and even if you did send it, it won't get its effect. One of the more consistent ways to get Ava's effect was if you didn't draw it when it was at 1, because a lot of the time they didn't. They would use Beatrice, but that's gone now. You can't, so you can't Shifter because Herald is send for cost, so you can't Shifter. You can't under shifter. Droll and Lock is gonna stop it at every turn. Kaiju's Nibiru shuts that deck down. Which Nibiru I believe is gonna get seen a lot more play now that Appaloosa's banned. Um, so Nibiru, um, Forbidden Droplets and everything. It doesn't matter if you add your 2. I can play through that because I dropleted you. Like it, I think there's enough cards that are consistently seeing play now that it's not gonna really affect anything. That is my take on Ava. Not to mention, uh, you can kind of like slow down that deck with the Bestials and the DD Crows and stuff like that. There's enough cards, and I'm willing to be wrong on this. There's enough cards that this
I don't.
card isn't.
I just think someone's going to find something. That's it. I mean, just
It doesn't. It doesn't do that much. Like really, the problem with it was that it added 2 more negates on top of like a thing that was basically like 4 or 5 and everything, and added 2 more, which kind of shut you down. The thing is that like that's not really too much of an issue with what the cards that are currently being played. That's just my honest opinion. Um,
It just someone's gonna find something they can do with it, even if they're just searching out weird fairies that we don't see, weird level 2 fairies that we don't see played anymore.
Snake Eyes, I think both these hits of Snake Eye are good, and
Yeah, they're fine.
I know that some people were like, well, they still have 4 copies of this card because of Bonfire, and they have even more because of, technically speaking, they have, let's see, 4, 5, 6, like 5, 6, 7, 8. They have like 12 copies of these cards pretty much because of Wanted gets you Diabell Star gets you OSS gets you one of these cards. Thing is though, it makes it more susceptible to things like Droll and Ash and like actual hand traps. And on top of that is that like this deck actually does is scared of Nibiru now. Like Nibiru before
Yeah,
they could play through it mainly because of Flamberge or and if they weren't, they can still kind of play through Nibiru, but it's not going to be as devastating. It's like you like I don't know. I think that it's fine. I think that with the only time we're gonna have to worry is when Rage of the Abyss comes out. If we follow the OCG's thing, which we don't always. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But if we follow what happens in the OCG, Asmina is going to boost this deck up a little bit more and probably prop it up more. But overall, I think these hits are good. The gimmick puppet hits, I think, are fine. It makes
it
it
just hits consistency.
with the gimmick puppets. It means that like you, the FDK, while it's not technically dead, it makes it a lot harder because you needed 2 copies of these things to consistently FDK. Uh, with them at 1, you need like very specific hands. So that's why those cards got hit. Uh,
Branded Fusion game hit was actually not on my list of things that I thought would, but when it happened, I was just like, yeah, I guess this makes sense.
yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those hits that it's not. I didn't expect it entirely, but I wasn't like unsurprised really. I was.
Yeah, it didn't surprise me.
I
Opening the spirit gates, I know we were talking about, people were talking about that getting some kind of hit.
Uh, my problem with it, so like, for the hits, opening the spirit gates is a great hit because it allows the discard to summon back a Yabel and everything from it is like is one of the most important parts. Not to mention Dark Summoning Beast and opening that whole
Yeah,
engine for Yabel is really good. But like I personally wanted Yabel to get hit at least one more card. They hit every other main deck for 2 cards. I would have liked uh, them to hit like Phantom to 1 as well. Uh, that's my only like really gripe with the limited section. I think that like they really should have hit one more card in Yabel because in my opinion now Yabel is the best deck, like bar
yeah,
none.
grass coming back is hilarious at 1.
I called
I don't.
it.
I know you did. We were talking about that. Like, grass can come back to 1, and I was leery at first, but then I went, yeah, no, you're right. There's not much you can really do with 1.
Yeah, because Rat on the Discord after I said I think this is a pretty good list overall, Rat was like, "You actually called a decent amount of stuff and everything from your podcast," and
Yeah,
I don't
you're pretty
remember
good.
I don't remember everything I said. I just remember, but I'll take Rat's word for it because I know he mentioned grass and everything, and I was
Yeah, skill drain is fine at 1 now. It doesn't feel so oppressive.
so
Skill drain wasn't fair. I watched you flip a skill drain on an opponent, and that was just, you know, they played through it, but it was really hard for them to play through it. And
yeah.
I think there was one game you got them with, and I was just like, yeah, no, that skill drain kind of
Mm,
rode you to that victory.
I'm gonna uh So I'm not gonna play it. There's no devil's advocate here for me. I think skill drain getting hit is good. Personally, I think it should have been banned. I know that at 1, it's gonna be less popular, and people might not play it at all anymore at 1. Uh, like they were 3. But my problem with it at 1 is that the people that are gonna play it, it's gonna feel so bad to lose to skill
Gotcha.
drain because it's a 1 of. It's gonna feel terrible, and you're just gonna be like, I I I hate lose. I'm not one of those people that really hate losing to 1 ofs that much, but that would feel, but it does feel a little bad when they have the 1 copy. All right.
Yeah, that was a gotcha moment when you get that one copy. Paw of Prosperity makes sense. Glad I'm not playing it in Sprite anymore, or else I might have been a little sad. Just
Prosperity,
go to talents.
prosperity, and Sangen summoning getting hit are pretty much direct hits towards Tenpai. They aren't. I know that uh, people might disagree with the prosperity thing being a direct thing towards Tenpai, but it is. It is mainly for Tenpai.
Every time I think it's a Tempai player resolving Prosperity, I hit it. There is no point where I don't go, yeah, I ashed that. Because Prosperity is just even if you don't know what deck they're playing, they activate Prosperity, I'm just gonna stop it.
Mm. Sangen
Because I've
summoning.
lost to them going into what they need. And yeah, Sangan summoning going to 1. Actually, I think we were chatting that would be correct.
I
I don't remember if that was on the podcast. You and I talked that
I think
Sangan summoning banned or at 1 would have been fine
I think I
because it gives you.
I think it's I think it should have been banned. I don't think I think it feels wrong. Like it doesn't lead to good interactive Yu-Gi-Oh! To have a card that says you can't interact with my board, even if it's only during main phase 1. Sangen Kami was the card I want limited. Because that card,
Oh, yeah.
which is the one that adds and specials during the battle phase, uh, this is the field spell, and I think that the field spell should have been banned because it doesn't. Yu-Gi-Oh is a very interactive game, and I think that you should promote that. I think hand traps are one of the best things that's ever happened to the game. And I know a lot of casuals might say I'm wrong, but personally, I think it's one of the best things because it makes Yu-Gi-Oh so much
There was a
more
time when I
interactive.
hated hand traps. I think uh, I didn't really like them. You didn't like facing them, but then I think we just adapted and
Uh,
went, okay, we just can't play big wombo combo anymore.
well,
But then again, you were running 3 of the called by, so that was when called by was at 3. You're like,
my thing wasn't that necessarily that I hated playing against them. I hated running them because they felt like bricks like a good chunk of the time until I got better at the game and understood like how to use them better. Uh,
yeah,
but like yeah, it just felt like bricks a lot of the time. I think that overall, this is a good list. I'm actually pretty happy with it. It's not an end all be all, and I think a lot of these decks are gonna still see play. I think that I think, in my opinion, Snake Eyes doesn't go down necessarily a tier. I think it still might be tier 1. But I think it curves its power a little bit so that Yubel is the best deck, followed by maybe Snake Eye, then Tenpai, and then Ritual Beast. I still think those 4 are the best decks still, but I think that maybe Ritual Beast might be better, a little bit better now because of Calamity. I could be wrong, but it's hard to really say for now. Uh, you have any meta predictions? You think it's gonna stay the same like I do?
it's probably going to stay the same. They're just not going to be as hard. Rogue will actually be able to play better,
Mm,
right?
yeah, I think
So,
so.
like, you got to think about it though. Like, this is one of those formats where the top decks are oppressive, but if we just knock them down a little bit more, and they're not so oppressive, then Rogue matchups and Rogue gets a little better. And
Mm,
no, Rogue is not technically like when I say Rogue, I say much as I hate doing the half system, I'd say that Rogue falls, in my opinion, in 2.5 category. You know, they're
yeah.
not exactly tier. They're not tier 2. Well,
I,
maybe it'd be 1.5 then, maybe.
okay, because
Because a lot of your good rogue is like it's good enough to keep up with the decks. It's just they get smacked by other things. So
I think so for the
rogue
decks.
doesn't mean the deck is trash.
I think okay. Here's the way I define rogue. Are like rogue decks usually are the decks are supposed to be the decks that no one expects, that come out of nowhere and get like a top, maybe one or two, right? Uh, an example of a rogue deck probably would have been the momentum deck or whatever or whatever that deck is. A memento, that's it. I think that would have been.
Memento.
I think that would have been a good example of a rogue deck. I know people might disagree with that because it's gotten topped, but it gets like barely any. It's not like Ritual Beast, which is obviously like the fourth best deck in the room and everything, where you could make the argument that Ritual Beasts are like tier 2 or maybe tier 1.5, right? So like
Yeah.
uh I think that like Memento I would consider kind of rogue, even though it's getting tops, but it's barely. If you look at it, it's like usually barely making it. It's like one or two like really over the top players that are doing it. I think the same thing kind of with Runic. Less of the stun variants because the stun variants are actually getting decent results, but like the more combo variants, I think that like those and stuff like that, like the White Forest, those kind of fall more under Rogue. You can crucify me and if you want in the comment section, but I think that that's what I kind of deem as Rogue. Because the difference, I don't consider Rogue decks as those like jank decks or those weird pile decks that like I know our locals considers and everything. I consider Rogue Deck as like the tier, like you said, 2.5 to like 3 ish, maybe like tier like 2 and everything, which is like weird to say because I could make an argument that there is no such thing as tier 2 or lower, but like
Yeah.
you could make that argument, but I think that in the current meta we kind of definitely have these cards that these decks that are definitely what I would consider tier 2 being Ritual Beast and Memento. Well, Memento is more rogue, but like Ritual Beast and stuff like that. But I think that's it, unless you have anything else to add.
No, I don't think I have anything else to add.
So, if it is your birthday today, happy birthday. If you like this kind of video, don't get used to them. I, these ban list videos are not something that we're gonna do every time. Most of them will be on the podcast, and I just kind of wanted to talk about this list because it's actually a big cohesive list and everything, and have its own video. Uh, if you, yeah, no, that's it. Have a wonderful day.